Hello, happy May 1st. Welcome back to my channel. This is Amanda Kelly with This Art Called Life. And today I want to dive into all of the incredibly potent energetics that are happening this week at a collective, energetic, astrological level. So today, May 1st, we have Pluto going into retrograde. Mercury is already in retrograde. And of course, we're in the middle of eclipse season. And on Friday, we have Beltane. So and not to mention Friday, May 5th is the 5-5 portal. So we have all of these energetics coming together on Friday, May 5th, because that is also the exact date of the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. So we have both. Usually there's a Beltane portal, right? So we have the calendar Beltane, the lunar Beltane, and the solar Beltane. But it's all, the lunar and the solar Beltane are both on Friday, May 5th, the 5-5 portal, in conjunction with this Scorpio lunar eclipse. Whoa. Okay, so I want to preface this once again by saying that I am not a formally trained astrologer. However, I study a lot, and being on this journey of spirituality that has deepened me into the energetics and the priestess path, which connected me with these high holy days of Beltane. So I'm really speaking at it from that lens more than anything. I have really, though, been guided deeper and deeper into seeing how all of these collective energies work together. And what I would like to invite you into, for anybody who's an astrology skeptic, because I certainly was myself. I was like, oh, well, that's kind of fun to think about, my little horoscope, daily horoscopes way back in the day, very basic astrology. I was like, oh, that's actually feels like it kind of aligns. When I would look back on the day, I was like, maybe there's something to this. But it really does go so much deeper. And what I would like to invite you to consider is that perhaps we can view the planetary alignments and shifts more as symbolic representations and archetypes of the journeys that we are going through, and that can help us guide us more deeply into ourselves. We all have our personal birth chart. I'm a Virgo sun, Cancer rising, Taurus moon. And of course, we have this Scorpio. We're in this Scorpio eclipse season, or energy rather. And I have my Pluto, Saturn, and South Node in Scorpio. So these are things that I have looked into in a considerable amount of depth for clarity for myself. So this is the lens that I am speaking through. And I almost wonder if that might invite more people in from a more zoomed out perspective and not from this pure astrology perspective. If that lands and resonates, I hope it does, because for me, it just seems to make more and more sense when we look at it from this more zoomed out collective perspective, and also from the notion of the planets representing particular aspects of ourself and aspects of our journey that we are meant to go through. So I just want to presence that before we dive deep into this for anybody who might be a skeptic. Because I was myself for quite a long time. I was school and science and math were my top two subjects. I was supposed to be a doctor, right? So I had this very rational, linear, logical mind frame going through the first more than half of my life, I suppose you could say. And yet there was always some part of me that was intrigued and wanted to know more and keep learning. And here I am. So anyway, so we also today, May 1st, the Taurus sun is aligning with the Mercury retrograde to create a Mercury cazimi. So what does that actually mean? It means that there's a potent energy alignment for insights and downloads, and it can help set the course for the next 5 months. And we do have this Pluto retrograde that is happening through October 10th, so roughly the next 5 months. So we're in the, and of course, with the eclipses, they carry energetics for about 6 months, right? So it's this really interesting energy that is going to carry us through forward for roughly 5 or 6 months, perhaps. And Pluto is an intense planet on some levels, but intense isn't bad, okay? So it's the ruler of the subconscious, right? And so it governs the underworld. It brings us into the depths, and that's what Scorpio does. So we have this interesting alignment of the Pluto retrograde with the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. It is really calling us to dig deep and excavate deep down into our energetics and our soul level to figure out what is our deepest, most aligned truth. And that's what it's calling us into: deeper alignment, releasing the old, in a nutshell. But let's dive in a little deeper. I have a lot of notes here because there are a lot of specific aspects that I want to bring up. So essentially, this time is about the old energies being cleared out, old timelines closing, karmas being cleared, karmic debts being settled and released for good, shadows dissipating. So this all can feel very intense, and yet think about it: clearing, done, finished. All those old patterns that were not serving us are being released and let go of. This is excellent. This is wonderful news, right? But we've got to work with the energies. If we resist it, what we resist persists, right? So if we don't allow ourselves to really go in and be in stillness and present with what is coming up for us, we might resist the energetics that are actually working to assist us. We might push back the timeline a little bit, right? So the more we surrender, the more we open and trust, the more easily we can, easy is maybe not the best word, but the more gracefully we can move through this time of intensity. So this can be also a time of plot twists and new directions, potent new beginnings, new opportunities. So this can, really bring in a lot of powerful good as well. So the Mercury retrograde itself lasts through May 14th, May 15th, one of the two. I heard 14th, but yeah. And then we have Pluto retrograde May 1st through October 10th, but this could be more at a collective level, right? So it depends on your personal placements. This is my, basic astrology 101. I know that it does depend more on your personal chart placements, how exactly you're personally going to feel it. But it can very much be an intense portal of transformation and rebirth. And Pluto, of course, rules the planet of Scorpio, which is this lunar eclipse that we're going to experience on Friday. So when we pull those pieces together, many of us might be feeling this in a very, very deep way. So last year, for me, with the Scorpio eclipse, everything in my life fell apart. Seriously, everything just seemed to collapse. And I knew it was related to the eclipse, but I wasn't really so prepared for it. I thought I had already gone through so much clearing and so much healing in the previous several months that I was like, how is there still this much left? And that's the thing. We go deep. We go so deep. And we all have our own soul journeys. We all have our own soul contracts and paths that we're here on. And it relates to how old our soul is, or rather how many lifetimes we've been here on earth too. So I don't want to terrify anybody. But I was just like, whoa, this is real. This is a real thing. And this year, because I think I was pulled even deeper than I ever wanted to go. And that's the thing, we have to be willing. We have to be willing. But once we do go deep within our soul and trust all that is being called to let go of, then, and we actually allow it to release, this year it's not been quite so rocky. We have a lot of intense energies with the solar areas, so it's more amplified than ever. But I just want to share my personal perspective that it's not been quite as intense or crazy as it was last year for me. So when we do work with the energies, when we allow them to work through us for our highest good, it does work out in our highest good. It does serve our ultimate expansion and elevation. So trust that very much. It can lead to some potent and powerful breakthroughs as well. So again, Pluto rules the subconscious. It unearths, it unveils the hidden depths of what we have been suppressing and repressing and not wanting to look at a lot of the time. So it is an opportunity for that deep soul work, but it's empowering us. Think of it like this: it's an empowering way to confront our deepest fears and recognize the self-destructive habits that we may still be working in, the patterns that are not serving us. Are we still operating in these same old patterns and relationships with money, with our health, putting it on the back burner, for example? Are we avoiding certain things? So this is what it brings up for us to finally actually facing those shadows. And before I go any further, I really wanted to say this at the beginning, and I didn't. But the title of this was Phoenix Rising, right? So the Beltane energy, which I'll get back to in a little bit later in this video, I'll dive much deeper. It's this fire energy. So think about it like the fires of transmutation. And then Scorpio is this water energy. So it's this purification energy. We burn it all away with the fire and then cleanse and purify it with the water. We allow ourselves to excavate those emotional depths and then transmute them. So whichever way you want to look at it, the both and, right? So this is very much about burning away all of the old and those fires of transmutation, those alchemical fires, and allowing ourselves to rise like the phoenix from the ashes. So there is probably, I've never heard of a more potent time for this analogy. It's really incredible, actually, the opportunities that are here for us for this transformation, for this deeper transformation and ultimate ascension and elevation in our frequency, in our experience of this reality, if we do work with these energies. So Pluto illuminates the hidden aspects of ourself that are limiting our growth, right? So this is ultimately liberating and empowering when we work with the energetics. So it helps us to release past experiences, settle karmic debts, clear the slate. It can be a catalyst for our soul's evolution. And this is really happening when we boldly face those shadows within with courage and with the grace to know that there is something better on the other side. So again, shedding the old to make space for the new. This is a constant theme. If it sounds like a broken record at this point, yeah, but that's really what this time in humanity is about. And this is, again, at the collective level. So however deeply you feel it for your own self, in your own life, is going to be an individual thing. And this is working at a collective level. Retrograding back into Capricorn, old systems and structures are breaking down because they were built on a foundation of cards, of paper, a house of cards, right? And so it is falling down. And we're being prepared to build something new, to build something stronger from a foundation of love and harmony and true abundance that serves the all, not the few. So this is actually all for humanity's highest good as well. These collective transits really show us what hasn't been working collectively in society. So much is going to be revealed still, and it's, been lurking under the depths, hidden underneath the surface, this deep, deep corruption. And now it's being revealed so that we can purify our structures and systems at a collective level as well. So there are karmic rewards on the other side for us if we allow ourselves to work with the energies and do the work. Now, because of the retrograde and because of this eclipse energy, eclipses go, retrograde is, pull back and stop. So there's this push-pull energy. So it's very interesting. I heard the term earlier, this is like the dragon zone or something like that for the eclipse season, the wild card energy. So I think the best thing to do is to really just settle in with yourself and be in stillness with what is coming up for you as much as possible. So, be cautious of any big grand adventures or plans right now. I'm not saying don't, I'm just saying, just make sure all your T's are crossed and I's are dotted, because who knows, right? So, and at the end, I will share an opportunity to go deep within and have that space, to carve out space for yourself to work with this energy. So Taurus, that we're in Taurus season, it also rules the body. So this is a beautiful time to focus on yourself, self-care, your physical vessel. So what is your own energy like right now? And what do you need to serve your highest good? What does your body need right now to help it move through these massive purging energies, these purification energies that are bringing up all the old stuff? And a lot of people are feeling that in physical ways. Go back to my old video. I will link that as well. My previous one about the ascension symptoms and all of these solar energies coming in, because that's not abating either. These solar codes are blasting us in the midst of all these other energies. And of course, Beltane is a solar holiday, so it's just pretty fascinating, all of the alignment with these energies that are absolutely assisting us on this journey of clearing out the old. So the truth is, we are here on earth to be in this body. There's a lot of escapism out there, but ascension is about going into the heart. So anybody who's on this path of spirituality, ascension, awakening, remember that the body is your temple. This is our vessel to be here experiencing this magical playground. So blaming the body, shaming it, this is actually counterproductive, and that's that layer of resistance coming through that will continue to create roadblocks for us, obstacles. So we embrace the body, we love it, we tune in with it, and we learn about ourselves and our soul, what it truly needs, by listening to our body. So Taurus also rules our love life, our financial life. So this could be a really good time for us to go deep and examine what is not in alignment in those areas of our life. So physical health, our body, our love life, our financial life, big, big areas of our lives, right? So this is really very much about creating a better foundation for ourselves moving forward. And now the moon in Scorpio is a water sign. All the emotions come up, and it governs things underneath the surface. So again, this is about the hidden aspects. Scorpio is ruled by Pluto. So Pluto and Mars. So these are intense planets, intense energies. Scorpio is intense, intensity, but intense doesn't necessarily mean bad. It can mean passionate as well. However, when it does come to these hidden layers, the things that we don't want to look at, it can feel really intense. Sit with it. That's how we transmute it. We sit with it. We ask our body, our inner child, what we need to process it, to move through it, to release it. And this is what helps us to ascend our frequency, by letting go of those old energies and habits and patterns, and very much based in our emotions. So where do you feel the fear, the anger, the resentment, the sadness, the hopelessness, the grief? So this very much calls us to tune in with our heart space as well. So, what is not working. And this is Scorpio rules death and rebirth, regeneration, intimacy, alchemy. So this is all for our highest good. Again, it's the butterfly emerging from the cocoon. It's the phoenix rising from the ashes energy. So trust that on the other side of this is you getting your wings back, you being transformed into a more brilliant version of your being, in your highest potential, in alignment with your highest truth. That's what this is serving us to do. So again, when we get back to the symbolism and the archetypal energy of these planets, when we look at it like that, perhaps it becomes a little bit easier to work with. So again, this is completion, letting go, finishing a cycle, figuring out what's not working, and then moving through that, ending those patterns, releasing so that we can grow and expand in alignment with our deeper soul's truth. So it can be this destructive power moving through our lives, but it's destroying rather, what's not in alignment for us, for our highest good. So, it's hard to let go, especially, sunk cost idea. If we've invested a lot of time and energy into something, it's hard for us to admit a lot of the time that it's not working. So what about it isn't working? Let that go, pivot, come to a completion with that phase, that chapter of your life. Allow yourself to move forward. So when we let go, we are freer and liberated. We are lighter. So that's when we become more magnetic and attractive to our soul's highest desires, its deepest truth. So tune in, where are we giving our power away? That's another big theme here. And this is about retrieving your personal power. So think about where you want to break free. Where do you feel stuck in your life? This is the time to really tune in and work with that. So eclipses are basically, they can be game changers. So this is really a powerful opportunity if you choose to look at it like that. We also, interestingly, I just learned, have this asteroid called Hypnosis that was discovered on May 5th. So again, another alignment on May 5th, where we have been hypnotized, delusional, trapped in illusion, can't see the truth. That's what this asteroid is about. So this is, again, about facing those fears and those shadows and not being afraid to face them, having the courage to boldly face those dark places within that we haven't been really willing to look at. Where are we deluding ourselves? Where are we still living in illusion that this thing is still good for us, that this person is still good for us, that this job or career is still good for us? So this is the time to pivot. And I just find it so beyond fascinating that all of this is happening on 5/5, the 5/5 portal. So 5/5 is very much about change and breakthrough energy. So here we have lunar and solar Beltane, which are not always on the same day, both landing on the 5/5 portal with this comet and the lunar eclipse in Scorpio. Like, whoa. I would say lay down expectations for anything. However, work with the energies to call in your highest timeline, to release what's not in alignment with that. So let's move into Beltane. Beltane is a festival of fertility. It's a celebration of light. So already it's a beautiful energy. There's a lot of optimism here. Think about the time of year. It's spring. There's this energy of renewal and rebirth, fertility. So this is May Day, going back into the, Celtic lore. And so in the more ancient feminine traditions, Beltane is a cross-quarter high holy day. We have the two equinoxes, the spring and fall equinox, and then the two solstices, the summer and winter solstice. And then we have these cross-quarter days. So Beltane is the one that lands between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. So we have these really beautiful energies of celebration. It's a joyful celebration kind of energy, and it goes deep. So it's this year we have the lunar Beltane with a full moon in Scorpio, as well as the solar Beltane, which is at 15 degrees of Taurus, apparently. And then we have calendar Beltane. So calendar Beltane is just, it's today, May 1st, but the energetics really are on May 5th, 5/5. So it's really very beautiful. This is, to me, signifying the union of the masculine and the feminine, bringing us into wholeness. Sacred union occurs within because we both have the energies of the masculine and the feminine. So when we merge the two, this is how we come into wholeness, working in alignment with our highest capacity to create. So we work with the flowy energy of creation of the feminine, and we work with the aligned action of the masculine. And that is how we become the most powerful co-creators of our reality, by coming into sacred union within. And with the lunar and the solar occurring on the same day, on this festival, holy day that already does represent sacred union, the May Queen and what was his name? I always forget the young oak king. I can't figure out why I forget his name, but I do. That's them coming together, signified by the maypole dance as well. The twining of the strings is kind of like the merging of the DNA, the twisting of the DNA, and we're activating our DNA, upgrading it. The 12 strands are being activated during this time of awakening and ascension. So it's just really interesting to tune into these energetics, these ancient wisdom traditions, and to pull them forward, to pull them back up into our consciousness, to work with them and to merge them with our current consciousness of humanity. So we're elevating that old ancient tradition into our current state of human consciousness. It's different. It wasn't necessarily better back then, but we had a little bit more of a balance, and we have a different level of consciousness now. So now we get to merge them and bring them into a higher level of harmony, a higher octave of harmony, I suppose you could say, as we ascend into fifth dimensional consciousness and anchor in these new earth frequencies based in love and harmony and union. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah, again, this is a very optimistic energy, and we're connecting with the power of the sun. So these solar codes are coming in and amplifying all of these energies as well, with all of these M-class solar flares, so on and so forth. So it's pretty fascinating, actually, for me to look at all these different pieces and begin to connect the dots. It's like, okay, wow, we really are being guided by these, if nothing else, symbolic transits and conjunctions that these energies stand for. It's really assisting us in doing this personal inner deep soul work. So the Beltane is based on the Celtic god Belinus, which means bright one, and Tane, which means fire. So it means bright fire, which I love, that fire energy of passion, and also the alchemical fires of transmutation burning through us to release, to transmute all the old patterns that are not serving our highest good, that are keeping us out of union within, keeping us small, keeping us in fear, keeping us in our ego, both, for better and for worse, powerlessness versus power over dynamics. So we look at both of those aspects of the ego, and where is it keeping us out of sacred divine union within. So we merge the masculine and the feminine within, and then we become more magnetic as well to our sacred divine union partner, if that is the path that you are on. So this is very much about celebrating Gaia's strength. So these high holy days worked in unison with nature's cycles and the cycles of the sun. So it's the feminine and the masculine aspects. So nature's inherent abundance, Gaia, Mother Earth, all of the abundance that she has for us, celebrating that, celebrating her. And there's very much this erotic power that comes with this holiday. And this is why a lot of weddings were held in May traditionally. Now it's kind of whenever you can get a wedding venue date, right? And people, they make their own choices all the time, but this is traditionally why the most popular time for weddings is May, because of this May day energy, this Beltane fire, erotic fertile energy, and very much carrying these energies of sacred union of the divine masculine and feminine. Makes perfect sense, right? So the May Queen was the maiden goddess reaching her peak vitality and fertility, coming into union with the young oak king, and they would basically enact the merging of the earth and the sky. And again, this is those principles coming into sacred union. So Maya, May, this is the goddess of earth in some traditions. So green, healing and fertility, and the pink of the flowers, these are colors that are associated, the yellow of the sun, but then we also have the red of the fire. So these are the colors that are very much associated with Beltane. And this is really a beautiful energy of blessings for this union, blessings for the earth, blessings for abundance, for nature. And I already talked about the maypole weaving together the male and the female strands like a dance of the DNA, right? But it also represents the spiritual currents of the energies moving up our spine, the Kundalini aspects, and the masculine and the feminine energies weaving up. So we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So when they come together in harmony, this can help lead to enlightenment as well. So those fires within, the Kundalini energy is very much associated with a fire energy, and that is being activated. So wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people are feeling their Kundalini activate and be more highly active at this time. So that can also lead to a lot of interesting things. That's another video for another time, but just prepare yourself. Yeah, so in Celtic time, Celtic tradition, they would dance all night, jump over the bonfires at dawn. This would signify good luck. So there's this really beautiful energy of opportunity coming in here. Again, with this eclipse energy, it's really an interesting alignment that is ultimately guiding us into a new higher timeline if we allow for that. So creation, fertility, portal energy, and this in truth was a celebration of fertility, which the church didn't really like. It was too joyful, too fun, too focused on that sexual energy. And so they co-opted it with the Virgin Mary, really focusing on the fact that she's a virgin. So we removed the powerful feminine energy, or the church did rather, the patriarchal church religions. Well, I shouldn't say church, but the patriarchal religions removed this really deeply erotic feminine energy by associating the most sacred woman in the church with virginity, which is also actually a different definition of virgin than the original definition. Again, another video for another time, but traditionally this was Ishtar celebrating the rebirth of Tammuz and coming into sacred union, going back into the ancient Mesopotamian and Babylonian goddess traditions. So it's just interesting to look at the archetypal and mythological wisdom held within this. Another video for another time, Inanna's descent, Ishtar's descent into the underworld. It's a mythological representation of the ego death, basically. So again, when we embrace their teachings in its pure form, there's no distortion there, really. The distortion comes from our labels of things. So Scorpio brings these deep energies and it merges with everything. And tremendous power comes from the merging of the energies, the union of the masculine and the feminine, the union of the dark and the light merging into a greater form of wholeness. And that's what this journey is very much about, wholeness, the union of polarities. So Beltane is the Scorpio full moon reflecting the light of the Taurus sun. And then of course we have the lunar eclipse. So interesting, but there is death at the core of the merging, right? The death of the old, the birth of the entirely new version of ourselves, that phoenix rising from the ashes. So I also, and perhaps I'll do a deeper video on this because this is already longer than I intended, but Scorpio, I want to presence that Scorpio is associated with the scorpion, but it has two other versions of it's the only sign in the zodiac that has two other symbols associated with it, the eagle and the phoenix. So here we go, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Scorpio lunar eclipse on Beltane May Day with all of this other fascinating, potent energy on top of it. It's incredible. It's an incredible thing to work out. So Scorpio is associated with those dark or baser emotions, the seduction of the underworld, the jealousy, anger. That can be the reactive component of it. But it's really guiding us to find peace by going through the personal growth, the personal awareness, and moving towards spiritual enlightenment. And that is where we get to this eagle energy, which is the more ascended aspect of it: courage, power, intuition, wisdom. And the eagle is a very powerful symbol in the Native American tradition as well. The all-powerful Great Spirit, humanity's connection to the divine. It has a unique ability to live within the realm of the spirit and be connected and balanced with the earth herself still as well. So it's this state of wholeness that is achieved through the deep work. And of course, the eagle feather is the most sacred of all healing tools, according to Native American tradition. So again, probably we'll do a whole separate video on this. Again, I told you I researched everything because I have a lot of Scorpio in my chart. But the eagle teaches the Scorpio to take heart, gather courage in fierce battle of personal fears. Fierce battle of fears. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, interestingly. And then we have the Phoenix aspect, which is the most ascended aspect of Scorpionic energy. The struggle with a balance of power is now released. Struggle is over. The extremes are tempered, and we are reborn from the ashes, whole and grounded within ourselves. The rebirth, the resurrection, the transformation energy. This is about breaking the chains of attachment for good, the chains of attachment based in the ego to the material realm, knowing that we are really bringing in the spirit into human form. So that is the Phoenix energy. I will leave that there. But of course, on Friday, with all this potent, powerful energy, I will be hosting a Beltane ceremony 5/5 at 5 p.m. EST. And I'll be holding the space so you can be present with yourself in stillness. And this is how healing happens, when you're at peace and present with yourself in the present moment, in coherence with your heart. When we tune in with our heart, the body knows what to do. So this will be bringing through a ceremonial component, a celebration component, an embodiment component, working with these energies, and also creating that space to heal. So there will be journaling exercises, there will be a meditation activation to really tune in and allow yourself that opportunity to be still with yourself. So I will link everything below. I've also updated my work with me page. So if you're curious about all the different ways that you can go deeper, I will link that as well. And if it resonates with you, I would love, love, love to have you in this sacred space with me on Friday for this Beltane ceremony. It's an incredibly powerful, potent energy. And I didn't host one for the equinox, but I did for the winter solstice. And I just really adored creating that space and really tuning in with the energies, and people loved it too. So I intend to do a great deal more of that moving forward, bringing in all of my priestess training, as well as, I've done yoga teacher training. So I have all sorts of tools in my back pocket. I've done breathwork trainings that I'm going to be incorporating as we move forward. So, not to mention all of the other gajillion trainings that I've done. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for that. If this resonates with you, if the video itself resonates, I would so appreciate a like, a comment, a subscribe if you're not already. And for those who are, thank you so much for being here and for your continued support. And if the ceremony is of any interest to you, if it resonates, the link is below. Onward and upward in love and light. I will see you soon.